We are in what many might consider to be the golden age of remakes. It seems that every year a large portion of video game remakes are either released or announced. I mean, hell, this year we've had quite a few. Though I will admit, some are incredibly pointless and are only just there to take your money. Did somebody mention Last of Us Part 1? But out of all the genres, horror is perhaps the biggest one to receive the remake treatment. We've had the revival of classic franchises like System Shock and Dead Space, to the grandpappy of survival horror Alone in the Dark making a comeback, starring the funny lady from Killing Eve and the guy that played Hellboy that one time.
Fucking nuts!
To even a recently announced remake of Silent Hill 2, arguably one of the best video games of all time. I'm still waiting to see how Konami will fuck that one up though. However, one franchise has been absolutely killing it lately with their remakes. A franchise that has had a massive resurgence after putting out mediocre game after mediocre game for years. Resident Evil! Oh my... Capcom has seen a huge amount of success recently from this franchise, and it's hard to ignore it. Over the past 6 years, we've received 5 games. Yes, I said 5, please go back into your corner, you two. And out of those 5, 3 of them have been remakes of previous games, whereas the other 2 have progressed the story and the world. Whilst it's nice having the remakes of the classics, ushering in a new fan base, myself and undoubtedly others want to see what's next for the series. Maybe even bring back some old characters like Jill Valentine. However, Capcom may have other ideas. Recently it was revealed that Capcom is potentially considering making more remakes of classical Resident Evil games, with a potential Code Veronica remake getting more and more likely. And I only have 2 things to say to that. That's nice, but don't do it just yet, and if it is true, please don't make Steve an annoying little bitch.
Sorry about that little misunderstanding, but I thought you were another one of those monsters. Shut up!
Fans have been lobbying for a Code Veronica remake ever since the remake of 2 or 3 came out, and it's a fair request given how the game is 23 years old. However, for me anyways, I'm a little tired of these remakes. Yes, they've been good, and I've really enjoyed my time with them, but they're also stories that have been told before, and for me, I'm craving something new. Village's ending left a lot of potential for the next entry in the series. Ethan Winters is dead, the Megamycete is destroyed, and the once trusted BSAA are now using bioweapons as soldiers. Hell, I mean, the last line of Village is Chris stating that someone's gotta pay for the events of that game, and I'm still waiting to see that unfold. Or how about that Shadow of Rose DLC ending? There's a huge time jump from the Village ending to then, and ended with Rose Winters being a living bioweapon. How does she fit into the world? There's a lot of interesting ideas in there that as a Resident Evil fan I'm excited to see play out. But whereas I'm over here waiting to see what the next numbered installment brings, everyone else is wondering what old game they're going to remake next. There used to be a time when fans like myself were anticipating what the next game would be about, where it would take place and what characters would be in it. Would any long forgotten characters like Carlos, Sheva or Billy return? Stuff like this was exciting and kept me engaged with the franchise and where they're going to take it next. But now I feel like everyone just wants remakes instead of new ideas. And my question is, why? Why do people just want more remakes instead of new stories? Well, I've got a couple of reasons. The first is most likely nostalgia.
Hello, I'm the nostalgia.
It's been a while since the last mainline Resident Evil game featured any of the main protagonists, like Leon, Jill, Claire, or even Ada Wong, some of which haven't been seen in decades. I mean, the last time you got to play as Jill before the 3 remake was in 2012, and since then she's been MIA. Or how about Claire, perhaps the most underrated protagonist in the series? The last game she was in was Revelations 2, which was released in 2015. The closest we've got to is Ada, who was originally going to appear in Village, but was unfortunately cut.
We were on the verge of greatness. We were this close.
It seems to me that the absence of these characters, apart from Chris, has really left a hole in many fans' hearts, that they've just been longing for any opportunity to play as these characters. So when these remakes have dropped, they've swallowed them up like Nikocado Avocado during one of his mukbangs. It also doesn't help that their replacement in 7 and 8 was a character that many people have considered the worst video game protagonist of all time. Ethan Winters has had a hard time since his introduction in 7, Whilst I didn't mind him in the games personally, I'm not gonna lie and say that I do wish he was replaced with one of the OGs. But shouldn't that make Capcom want to make new stories with these original characters? If the fan demand is high enough, shouldn't there be someone in the dev team that recognises this? Well, that brings me into my second point.
Money.
According to Capcom sales reports as of March 31st of this year, Resident Evil 7 and Village have managed to sell 20 million units from their release to today. Whilst that's an impressive number for sure, the remakes of 2, 3 and 4 combined to make 22.6 million. And that's only going to keep climbing with Resident Evil 4 only being released recently. I mean, the proof is in the pudding with those stats. The remakes undoubtedly make more money than the new numbered games, and Capcom can clearly see that. From any business point of view, you're obviously going to want to continue making the products that sell the most. It doesn't matter if there's a small minority like me wanting something new, if it sells well, they'll make more. And in this case, it's clear that Capcom are going to continue making remakes. But that just puts more questions in my head. My biggest one simply being, where does it end? The end of the Resident Evil 4 remake suggests that maybe a remake of Resident Evil 5 is next. I mean, it's pretty obvious that some partner AI elements were tested in the latest game, and if that is true, then it leaves a lot of questions about the franchise's future. Are they going to revamp everything about the original Resident Evil 5 that people didn't like? Or are they going to make it more in line with what has come out recently? What about after that? Are they going to remake Resident Evil 6? The game that is regarded as destroying Resident Evil as a franchise and turning it from a scary horror series to zombies, pew 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 pew. Did they give fans what they want and remake Code Veronica? Which, if you think about it, is a massive gamble on their part, considering the original didn't sell all that well when it first came out. Will they remake the remake of the first game to be more in line with the modern remakes? Are we eventually going to be getting remakes of every single game in the Resident Evil library? Resident Evil Gaiden remake?
I don't know.
I'm just some weird British guy on YouTube talking about games I like who is now sick of the word remake. Look, whatever is next, I have faith in Capcom. And whether or not that's another remake or Resident Evil 9, I'll still buy it day one. They've had such a hot streak recently with hit after hit in not just Resident Evil, and I know that they can make the next installment amazing. The remakes have had a good run. They've been great for the most part and have ushered in a new age of RE fans, but for me personally, I'm craving something new. Some fresh, bold, new idea that expands on the lore like Village did. Some new characters that are on par with the original 4 that started it all. Some new iconic monster that can stand next to series favourites like the Lickers, Hunters and Tyrants. Regardless, I am glad that this franchise is blossoming, and I can't wait to see what's next. But I will say one final thing. Capcom, if you do end up remaking RE5, please, please, please keep that boulder scene.